Hello and welcome to the Monumental Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Q. Here we focus on tapping into our fullest potential and becoming our best possible selves. If you are a fan of the show, please follow us on all social media platforms at Dr. Q the Coach and subscribe so that we can keep in contact and engage with each other. Today, I have a special guest for you. This is my cousin, my friend, my confidant, and so much more. Many of you may know her as Beautiful Lil Jazz. I know her as Jasmine or Jazzy J when we was kids, and she is going to join us today in talking about grace and how we can operate grace in our daily lives. Welcome to the show, Jazz.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. So we're going to give the definition of grace first, which simply means to give kindness and compassion to others as well as yourself. So, Jazz, how do you practice grace in your daily life?
Well, I like to wake up and start off the day with a thank you when I wake up. Just giving grace that I'm still here and I'm still striving.
That's good. That's absolutely amazing. I agree with that. I think that when you operate in grace, and this is giving ourselves grace, we'll discuss giving ourselves grace first. It just gives yourself that period of understanding, that knowing that you have areas of growth, knowing that you may make mistakes. Everything's not going to be perfect, but you do wake up that next day and you are thankful and grateful for it because it makes a difference.
Yes.
When you operate with giving yourself grace. How do you give others grace?
I give others grace by being understanding and listening and not judging them.
Yes.
By their different chapters in life and just knowing that it will get better and just embracing the journey. That's what makes the journey is going through each of the steps, you know?
I agree with that. I remember just not too long ago going to a restaurant and I ordered my buffalo chicken wrap. I ordered the same thing all the time when I go to the restaurant. So that I ordered.
What restaurant is that?
This was actually in Charlotte, and I ordered a buffalo chicken wrap. And when I got my food, it took a little minute for the food to come, but the restaurant was very busy.
Right.
So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna wait patiently for my text message to get my food.
Right.
And I got the message. I go and grab my wrap, and I am so ready to bite this food. I was excited. I opened up my wrap and I looked at it and I'm like, what is this? It was bacon on my wrap. Oh. So they actually gave me a chicken BLT wrap instead of a buffalo chicken wrap.
Right. We don't do pork.
Yeah, and I don't eat beef or pork. So I just walked over back to the kitchen and I was giving them the food back. I said, hey, excuse me, this was the wrong wrap.
Right.
You have bacon on it, and I ordered the buffalo chicken wrap. So a guy was standing there. He was like, you could have ate that food. You could have just ate that wrap. I said, well, no, I don't want to mess up my stomach. One, but two, I want to get what it is that I really want to eat. I'm not upset. I didn't come yelling. I didn't cuss. Right. I wasn't, irate. I politely said, can you make it right? And then I just waited and gave them grace. The kitchen was busy. Right. And so many times we can find ourselves in situations where things may not go according to how you want it to go or according to plan. And we can be upset about it. And we can be mad and just yell at people and cuss them out and, oh, you wrong. And I spent my money on this, but they're still human. So operating in grace is really understanding that people are still human and everybody's not perfect. Right. They busy.
Right.
So I think that operating in grace really allows us to show our kindness to the world, show our kindness to others.
Right.
Understanding that people make mistakes and there will be lapse in judgment. When has it been a period of time where you had to allow yourself grace, show grace to yourself and not be your own worst critic all the time?
I can say last year, because I did realize that I'm still growing and I got a lot of growing to do. And although I feel like last year put me in places that I once was before, I still realized, okay, well, it was still lessons that I have to learn in order to come into the common ground to be a better person, period. Like, I feel like that I went through everything in 1 year. Like everything I went through in like all of my previous years, I went through in 1 year in 2022. And I had to go back and look at it because it's like, okay, when am I going to put what I've learned into action to actually be like, okay, now that you know this and now that you know better, when are you going to actually do better? And I feel like that was last year.
That's good. That's really good. And it's a period that's actually growth right there. Just understanding that there was some things that you still have to learn. There's lessons that I still have to learn. I remember I gave myself grace when I failed my first test. I was so upset. I beat myself up about it because I never felt anything in life.
Yeah.
So in pharmacy school, our very first test, I failed. I got a 58. And boy, I beat myself up about it. I was like, you know what? This is just not for me. Maybe I don't need to go to school for pharmacy.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Like I just was second guessing myself. I was doubting myself, and I had to give myself grace because guess what? I didn't know how to study.
Right.
So I had to learn how to study. That was something that I really never acquired the skills for.
Right.
So giving yourself grace is sometimes hard because we are our own worst critics. It happens. We can be our own worst critics, and we have to learn to give ourselves grace to know that we have periods of growth. And we have to give other people grace because they make mistakes as well. So I did this as a word of the day a while back, and that word of the day really incorporated how hurt people can hurt people, and you never understand the journey that other people can be going through or what their day was or what they experienced in life. So we have to make sure that we give others grace because everybody has a different walk, a different journey in life. A time where you had to give someone grace because they hurt you, and you had to understand that they were already hurting themselves.
You want me to name a time?
Just an example. You don't have to give names. We are not giving names. We don't have to put anybody
I will
out.
not give no names. So I think once I learned to just take accountability for my mistakes as well, and I forgave me, is once I realized to just, I have to forgive others. Like, I can't keep trying to hold grudges of like the past, or maybe if this wasn't that, because I can't change that. So I have to take accountability and give myself grace. Okay, you know what are you going to do now to change the outcome of it, and to have the break the generational curse that I feel like I'm in. So I basically had to take accountability of my own actions, and just like, you know what, at the end of the day, how I'm going to operate different on making sure that I complete my goals.
I like that. I like that. I can remember a time where I think everybody has been hurt by somebody, and everybody has hurt somebody before. And operating out of hurt really causes you to realize you haven't forgiven yourself, you haven't forgiven the person, you haven't, forgiven the situation, and sometimes you haven't necessarily learned from it either.
Yes.
So I definitely remember times where I was upset and I was mad, and just out of me being angry, I want to take it out and give it to someone else.
Right.
Project my hurt. I'm hurt, you hurt. Now we both hurt.
Right.
And that's not right.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's not right to,
because then you start feeling bad that you hurt that person, and like, because I was like that, but then you feel bad. So yeah, it's not good to operate off hurt feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. So it taught me that I have to forgive myself, operate with grace, and give others grace. Because if somebody is walking down the street and they just look mad, just upset, not happy at all, and you have no idea what this person has experienced before they crossed your path. But let's say they just make a mistake and bump you, and you go off.
Yeah.
I know you didn't just bump me.
Right.
Now you ready to fight. You bucking up. But this person could have just lost their job or their house, or could be going through grief, or just heard some really bad news, or you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know?
Yeah.
And addressing it with more anger is only going to make the situation worse.
Yeah, because a negative on top of a negative is just create negativity.
Exactly. I remember hearing, I think it was DC Young Fly. No, it wasn't DC Young Fly. It was, Joey Badass. He was saying how energies work. And I feel like energies work the same with grace, because If you don't know what someone's been through and you just automatically come out and you hop up on them, now you come in with this rah-rah energy, this negative energy, when in reality, they may be going through something that can be horrible, had a horrible day, and you just actually giving them that compassion, that kindness, it can change the dynamic of their attitude. It can change the trajectory of their day.
Oh my God. Okay, so I do got a story. I just thought about something that is just so wonderful because I literally was just at the airport and I just flew in from out the country. So I was on a long flight and everything. And it was a lady. This is while we were in Vegas. And remind you, I had like a long layover. Mm-hmm. So the lady was older and she actually reminded me of one of my ex's moms. You know, I could just, because me and her was talking, I could just tell, her spirit and everything. So and I seen she was really tired. So she had a carry-on, but they wouldn't let her on with that carry-on, although she didn't took another flight, and they wouldn't let her on with that carry-on. They tried to charge her, and she just got the screaming like, "Oh, man, remind you, I'm so tired, I'm in pain and everything." And she just got the screaming like, "Oh my God, I can't fly. I don't have the money. I don't have this and that and whatever." So I just got up because I was exhausted, and I got up and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And the people were trying to be so mean, the flight attendants and stuff. So I calmed it down because I'm noticing like this lady, like 60 years old, everybody else just looking at her. She's like getting loud. And I'm like, you know what? She didn't want to piss off TSA. And I actually experienced a lot of stuff dealing with flight attendants and all that stuff. So, I offered and they was like, well, we don't accept cash and all this stuff. And I was like, well, and I helped her just change her bag around, put her shoes on and all that stuff. And I stuffed the bag inside the carry-on thingy. And I'm like, it can go on now. Can she go on now? And I realized like, wow, I remember I used to be that loud and obnoxious and everything when stuff was going on. And I was able to be calm and help this older woman out. And they actually end up putting her on the flight, because of her bag. Once we got it in there, I'm like, it's in there. She can get in, right? So we switched shoes and stuff like that. And I told her, I said, you don't need this in there. You don't need it. I'm like, you sure you need it? She was like, I'm like, come on, man. I was just calming her down. She was like, but I can't do it. I can't. Oh boy, she was reminding me of people that I actually know and stuff. But yeah, I was really thankful that I was able to calm that situation down and get that woman on the flight back to, she was actually going to San Diego and she was tired and she was older and nobody had any type of compassion towards this older woman going through that, and I'm like, they like, well, we can call security. I'm like, that's not cause for it. It's not cause for it.
You can't call security on a little 60-year-old lady. That's not nice.
Exactly.
Well, I commend you for that. That's very, very nice of you. I'm proud of you.
And I was going through a lot.
I know. Yeah. See, look at
proud of me too. Right. Gotta give grace to
giving grace to yourself, giving grace to others, operating in grace. Yes, come through. Come on. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mm-hmm. So we will quickly transition to our next part, which will be discussing our metaphor for our monumental metaphor to get us through the week. Our metaphor is amazing, and it really goes in part with operating in grace. Our metaphor for this week is do not judge a book by its cover. When you hear that metaphor, what comes to mind? When grandma and auntie and mama used to say this, what comes to your mind?
Me. I understand it because of the fact that I'm normally judged. I'm a person that's judged by the way I carry myself in some ways, or even the way how I operate when it comes to rap music and stuff like that. So just because I can do stuff as far as like with what's trending doesn't mean I am like that person. Yeah, like don't try to box me in. So that's like exactly, that's the perfect thing, quickly. Don't try to box me in. Like you can't just be like, oh, because I do this one occupation. Oh, she's just a sales rep. No, don't just call me a sales rep, because outside the sales rep, I also run a podcast. I have I do great cooking. I'm a mom. Yeah. I have different businesses. So you can't just try to box me in. So yeah.
I agree with that. I think when I hear do not judge a book by its cover, I think of all the different facets and the different hats that we wear in life. As women, as moms, as workers, as business owners, and so forth. We wear so many different hats. We are multifaceted. We do so much. It's very hard to judge and put somebody in a box.
Yes.
And when we were growing up, we would hear that, don't judge a book by its cover. And in my mind, I'm like, well, in school, they teach you use the cover of the book to kind of make inferences of what the book is going to be about.
Yeah, that's what makes it exciting. How
right.
Looking at the book.
Looking at the cover, it's like, oh, okay, this book is going to be good.
Yes.
But when it comes to life and when it comes to operating in life, you cannot judge people by just what you see on the outside.
Right.
And I commend you for not being boxed in. I feel the same way. I'm a pharmacist. Mm-hmm. But I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I like to have fun, and I'll go out and you'll see me with my glasses on today and I might put my contacts on tonight, so it's just, you can operate in different areas and different facets. It's all about how you wear your hats, but you can operate and wear many different hats.
Yes.
So don't judge a book by its cover, because there is more inside the book. And even if you think about it, when you open the book, you have the intro, you have the climax, that's the high point of the book.
Yes.
And then you have the ending, or it always have to be like a sad part in the book.
Yeah.
And then you have a nice conclusion and ending to the book. So that's how people are. You have the intro, that's what you see. And then you have deep down their pain, the sad part, their pain and their hurt, their struggles, the things that they deal with internally, and externally, things that they have dealt with in private and in public. And then you have the climax of the heights and the exciting parts of their lives.
Yes.
And eventually you'll have a conclusion. Yeah. Because nobody knows, when that time will come. So live your life to the fullest. Do not judge a book by its cover. Operate in grace. Operate with grace for yourself and others. Show that kindness and compassion that you want others to give to you as well. Understand that we all make mistakes. We all have different walks of life, different journeys that we are going through. And every day is a new day. Like Jasmine said, you want to wake up and operate in grace just by knowing that yesterday is over. Today is new. What happened yesterday, I can't let that hold me back.
Right.
So I'm going to give myself grace and understanding that I may have messed up yesterday, but today is going to be a great day. Yes. So, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining, and thank you all so much for listening today. If you are a fan of the show, please again subscribe and follow on all social media platforms at Dr. Q the Coach. We will drop another episode, Monumental Mondays. And until next time, always remember that the sky is not the limit, because there is more out there beyond the clouds. Peace.
Bye.